guys, welcome to my channel. So if you are a regular on this channel, you have probably heard me talk about how my back flexibility really annoys me because it does not match the flexibility of the rest of my body. So today I want to walk you guys through some of the back stretches that I've been doing to help try to increase that flexibility so it will finally match my hamstrings and my hips. Even after just a few weeks, I'm starting to really see a difference and feel more flexible in my back. Plus, they are easy to throw into your normal warm-up routine. As always, make sure that you are nice and warm, especially for back stretches. Don't let this be the first thing you do rolling out of bed in the morning. Really do a warm-up or a stretch first. I have a warm-up video on my channel. I also have stretching videos, so you might want to do one of those before you go right into your back stretches. I'm also going to remind you to breathe because especially with back stretches, it's so easy to hold your breath and you're like, and that is not going to help you with your flexibility. Breathing in and out is going to really, really, really improve the results that you see from any stretch. Deep breaths in and out the whole time. It will really, really make a big difference. And finally, before we get started, I will, as always, remind you to please subscribe to my channel. I have lots of other stretching and conditioning videos, plus a lot of aerial tutorials at this point. Also, I have a great community of people over there who are amazing. I am so grateful for you guys who are involved with that. And if you're not already involved, come and join us. It's pretty cool. You'll enjoy it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some cat-cows like we do in yoga, just to make sure that my spine is really warmed up. So I'm just going to get on all fours. I have my hands under my shoulders and my knees under my hips. And I'm just going to arch my back as much as possible and then contract and lift my spine up towards the ceiling. And I'm going to keep doing that 4 or 5 times. Really make sure that you're going as far into your arched back as you can, and then as far up as you can when you do your cow. Or is that, which one's the cat and which one's the cow? Is the arched back one the cat? Anyway, so I've done that a few times, and then you can also take it into a big circle by doing a circular motion as you arch and contract in both directions. Just another way to make sure your back is really nice and warm. And then the first actual stretch I'm going to do is just walk out my hands and go into a cobra stretch. This is a great one to warm up your shoulders as well because I'm really pushing my shoulders down away from my ears. So if you're like this, it's not going to help you too much. You really need to push the floor away with your arms, push your shoulders down away from your ears. Try to keep your abs engaged because that protects your lower back a little bit. And if you want, you can do some little rocks side to side. Rock your hips. If you have your feet open, it's a little bit easier on your back. But if you want an extra challenge, you can try bringing your legs together and straightening your knees. This may mean that your knees come slightly off the floor, which is okay. Then you can also try looking up to the ceiling and come out of it. You could do that 2 or 3 times. Remember to breathe in and breathe out. And then I'm going to come out of it, and almost every stretch that I do with my arched back, I'm going to do an opposing stretch by stretching out my lower back in the opposite direction. So I'm doing just a nice child's pose. So I arched my back, and now I am concaving my back just a little bit. Next up, we're going to get even deeper into that lower back. Come onto your back. You're going to put your elbows on the ground. Use your feet to lift up your hips and then try to scoot one arm and then the other arm underneath your hips. Now this may be enough stretch for you, but if you want more stretch, you can straighten your legs. And you can see I'm using my forearms and my hands to block my hips up into the air and let my back stretch over my hands. And a nice arch. Make sure that your hands are not too much on your butt here because that's not going to really stretch your back so much. You want to make sure that your hands are really on your lower back above your tailbone. Like I've said before in other stretching videos, I like to hold all my stretches about 30 seconds because after 30 seconds is when your muscles start to release even more and you get an extra bonus from every stretch after you've held it for 30 seconds. out of it, I'm going to roll it down gently and slowly onto the mat. And then again, to have an opposing stretch, I'll do the happy baby. So I'm just pulling my feet up to the sky, having my knees come towards my armpits, and rocking side to side just a little bit. One more for the very lower back. I'm going to come up onto my knees. I'm going to walk my hands back. If you are a little less flexible, you might want to start with your hands at your heels. If you're feeling a little more bendy, you can walk your hands to your calves, or you can even put your hands on your bum. And then I'm going to drop it back. Make sure that your neck is not being all over the place. Be gentle with your neck. So you want to really control as you bring your neck back. And try to keep all of your muscles engaged. If I'm here, with my hands down, I can walk my hands around, see how they feel in different places. And then I'm going to gently roll myself up. It's really important to gently come out of all of these with control. And then again, an opposing stretch. I'm just going to arch my back up towards the ceiling and maybe do a little child's pose as well. Speaking of child's pose, a great upper back stretch is to walk your hands forward just a little bit from child's pose. Bring your hips up in the air and then try to push your hips as high as possible while you push against the floor with your arms. So you're really making that upper back bend. This is a really nice one for your middle and upper back. And I'm going to come out of it and relax, let it adjust back to its normal position. These next few stretches are going to be for splits and your back, because a lot of us, when we're thinking about back flexibility, what we want to be able to do is that nice needle where you have your foot trapped behind your head with your hands. And that is a very specific flexibility, and this is the stretch I've been using to work on that. So I'm going to come into my split. Take a minute, just make sure your split is nice and warm and stretched out. I'm going to reach back, grab my back leg, and then let my back leg pull my arm. So I'm really pushing my foot towards the ground and pulling against my arm. This does not look like much of a stretch, but let me tell you, it is probably the most difficult one that I'm doing today. This specific flexibility is very, very challenging. And when you're ready, you can let go and you can switch around to the other side. So again, I'm in my split. I've got my hips nice and square, so my hip is facing front and it's not too much rolled over like this. My hips are nice and square. I reach back, I take my back foot, and pull it back. I'm really feeling this in my upper and middle back, and also my shoulder. If you want it to be a little bit easier, you can try grabbing closer to your knee. That's going to be a slightly different, but I think easier version. If you don't have a flat split, or you're finding that one is a little bit too advanced for you, you can do a different stretch that does almost the same thing by having your front leg bent in what's called a pigeon, and pulling back like this. You can also reach back, grab your toes, and then pull them in. This is not quite as much of a back stretch, but it is good for your flexibility in general. And of course, if you're feeling super ambitious, you can always try to touch your foot to your head. And that's a great back stretch. And of course, a back bend is pretty much obligatory. So if you don't have a back bend yet, you can work on them by just putting both hands on either side of your head, both feet flat on the floor, slightly apart, maybe about the width of your hips, and try to push up as much as you can. That's going to take some arm strength, and it's also going to take some back flexibility. So it's just a matter of continuing to work on it. If you're not quite to this level yet, you could try doing it over something like the arm of your sofa or a mat. If this is feeling pretty easy to you, the next step is to put your legs straight and your feet together. You might want to make sure that you have a floor with some texture because I am sliding. My feet are sliding away. And then finally, come out of it. And then if you're feeling very ambitious, the most advanced version is to come down onto your forearms. Finally, lower out of it, slowly with control. If you're doing the full back bend and not the forearm version, you can come out of it the same way, just using your arm strength. And again, I'm gonna counter that with a stretch in the opposing direction. I'm gonna do my happy baby again. Now that I'm a little bit warmer, I'm gonna do some standing stretches. I'm gonna use my mantelpiece, but you could use the back of a chair or a table or the back of your sofa, or just whatever you have around that you can put your hand on to balance. So I'm gonna start with my feet about hip width apart, and I'm gonna arch back. I like to use one hand to push my hips forward. It's very hard to talk like this. Keep your knees nice and straight. Don't forget to breathe, and then roll it up. You can do that a couple of times. I wouldn't recommend holding it more than about 10-15 seconds, just because you don't want to overtax your back muscles, but you could do it 3 or 4 repetitions, and then that's going to give you a longer, more cumulative effect. For a nice shoulder stretch, out in front of me, make sure that your hands are not wider than your shoulders, so you should really have your hands fairly close together. And then I'm going to drop my upper body as far down as possible, keeping my elbows straight, keeping my knees straight. This is a great one for shoulder flexibility, which is actually surprisingly important for back stretchy kind of poses. You can sway side to side a little bit if you want, and then bend your knees and roll it up. Slowly release. You might want to do a couple of shoulder rolls just to release those muscles. And finally, we're going to do this needle prep bad boy. You're just going to reach behind you, grab your foot, and pull it up as high as you can. So if it's only to here, or if it's only to here, that's okay, as long as you are pushing as far as you can. And I'm really trying to pull my leg both straight and up. So ideally you want to end up with a straight leg in this one, which is a long, long journey to achieve, but beautiful once you get there. And I lose my balance, and I come back up. This is also a balance practice. It's a very odd position to balance in. I'm pushing away with my leg, and then I'm just going to relax. And then we're going to do some cool down stretches on the mat to finish up. Just to make your back nice and happy. So I'm just going to arch back, and then bring my chest through my knees, and come up. And back, through my knees, snake it up. One more time, through my knees, snake it up. And I'm going to come onto my back. I'm going to bring both knees over to one side. I'm going to keep my opposite shoulder on the ground. And you can look towards your opposite shoulder with your head if you want. I'm just doing a nice stretch and twist all through my whole body, and especially through my spinal column. And then switch it out. Again, you can look over towards your shoulder if you want. Your goal here is to have your shoulder touching the ground and also your knee touching the ground. That's very difficult, but that's what you're working towards. And then finally, let's finish up by just grabbing your knees, taking a few nice deep breaths as you pull your knees in towards your chest. You can rock side to side a little bit, just relaxing that back, decompressing it. And then let it all stretch out. Stretch your whole body long and let your back fall into alignment naturally. I really feel the benefit of this every time I do it. So those are some of the back stretches that are really benefiting me as I move towards trying to increase my back flexibility. And I hope that you feel the benefit as well. If you have another back stretch that I didn't get to today, let me know in the comments because I'm always looking for more stretching ideas. They are very, very valuable to me. So please let me know if you have another idea for one. Like I said before, take a minute to subscribe to my channel. I do videos Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays are tutorials and Saturdays are videos more like this with stretching or conditioning, all sorts of different subjects. Also, if you have a video request, especially for a wider subject aerial video like this one, a Saturday video, let me know because I'm always looking for new ideas and I want to know what you guys want to see. So I guess that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed stretching and you feel more flexible now, and I will see you guys next time.